Hello, artists! We have been working on a very realistic eye drawing in pencil, and we're going to continue working today. Before you get started, please make sure you have a mirror. Please make sure you have your artwork. Please make sure you have a pencil. And also, it might be good to have some kind of eraser. There's also some in the bins. And today we are also going to be blending. So you can use either a tortillon blending stump, or if I'm at home, or I don't know, sometimes I just prefer this. I use a paper towel that I wrap around my finger. I don't use tissues because they sometimes have lotion on them. If you need to, go ahead and pause the video and get your supplies. Once you have your supplies, the first thing we're going to work on today is doing some shading around the eye for the skin. So one of the first things I do is I use my pencil, I press a little bit harder, and I'm going to thicken and darken the rainbow line that we first created above our eye, kind of where our eyelashes might be. So I'm going to thicken and darken that line. You could do it a little bit with the bottom, but don't go crazy. And I'm going to thicken and darken those a little bit. Sometimes I even go right to the edge. So I'm thickening and darkening the line above my eye, the rainbow line, and a little bit in the line below. I called it my smiley face line. So go ahead and thicken and darken, press a little harder with your pencil. And then we're going to smooth and blend it to give it more texture of skin. So during the time we worked on our iris, we left a lot of lines to give it a texture of muscles, but now we're going to give it a texture of skin. So if you're using the blending stump, you just go back and forth on the graphite. And at first I'm doing my rainbow lines. And then if you want, you can kind of bring them up a little bit into the skin. So I'm slowly moving. As I'm making my rainbow marks, I'm slowly moving my tortillon blending stump up. You could also do this with a paper towel by using your index finger, wrapping it around your index finger, and just kind of holding it with your thumb and your middle finger, and you go back and forth. But whether you're using your finger or a blending stump, you always want to go back and forth in the same direction of your drawing. So it's as if you are drawing with the blending stump. Same thing, you could go below, smooth out that line below. Then I also take a little bit of the graphite that's on either my blending stump or my paper towel, and I'm going to use that in the whites of the eyes. So now I'm going to make kind of like parenthesis marks. So I kind of go in a curving mark on the whites, just in the corners, because there is a little bit of shadow there since our eyeball is a sphere. So just a little shading in the corner, and I didn't even get more pencil. I just used the graphite that was on there already. Same thing in the tear duct, a little bit of shading. And now I'm also going to smooth out the crease line above my eye. So I'm using my rainbow lines again, smoothing out the crease line because that's my skin above my eye. Same thing, you can smooth out the crease line below your eye. And we're smoothing that skin. If you have some shadows around your eyebrow area, you can do that too. I'm doing kind of curving lines back and forth. You can smooth out some of the skin there too. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of smooth out the skin, but avoid the center. Avoid your iris. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about eyelashes. So for eyelashes, I think about Nike. What? Yeah, that's right. I think about the Nike swoosh. Instead of doing eyelashes that look straight up and down like this, we are going to do eyelashes that look more like a Nike swoosh. So you go dip down a little bit and back up, dip down and back up, dip down and back up. And I usually start in the right corner, the corner that's opposite of my tear duct. So I'm going to start on the right-hand side. And I'm going to make some Nike swooshes. So I start right on this thick line that we made before between my whites of my eye, my skin. I'm going to dip down and go back up. And I never really go past my eyelid line. So dip down, back up, dip down, back up. And you want a lot of variety. So some are long, some are short, some are clumped together, some crisscross, some dip down lower, and some go up higher. but I'm kind of leaning to the right this time. And then as I go to the center of my eye, my Nike swooshes are going to start to stand up. Again, they're more regular. Some crisscross, some are long, some are short, but I'm Nike swooshing almost straight up now. And then as I go to the left, you got to Nike swoosh the opposite way. And your eyelashes are going to go to the left. Guys, you can make yours a little shorter if you want. It's totally up to you. Sometimes I add a little extra. Sometimes I just thicken and darken that line where my whites meet my skin, and that's my eyelash line. Now, don't go to the bottom yet. I want to explain the bottom eyelashes. So again, if you need to pause the video, you can pause up the video if you need to. Now, bottom lashes. Bottom lashes do not connect directly to the whites of your eye. In fact, neither do the tops. But because the eyelashes kind of dip down and go back up, you can't see the skin between the whites of your eye and your eyelids, but it's there. Don't believe me? Look in the mirror and kind of look up, and you can use your finger to pull up your eyelid. So below my eye, I'm going to make a little smiley face line that's really light. There's a little space between the whites and this line. So the whites are here, the whites in my eyeball, and then I have a little line here that separates. So there's a little gap between the whites and my eyelids. If you made that line and you feel like it's a little bit too intense, again, go back and forth now. You can smooth out the skin, blend it in. And we're going to do the same kind of Nike swooshes on the bottom, starting on this line, but the bottom is a little less intense. So they still curve to the right, but there's maybe not as many. Below the eye, they kind of go straight down a little bit. Some of them crisscross. And then on the left, there's a little less towards the tear duct, but they do kind of lean to the left. So you got to lean to the right, then you lean to the left. You just want variety. And if it got a little too intense, again, use your smoother to smooth, 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 smooth. Your blending stump, smooth, smooth, smooth. Again, you could pause the video. I know I'm going fast, but you can go ahead and pause. Now take a peek at your tear duct. Mine kind of has a little bit of dark spot in it, but then it also has like a light spot. So I want to introduce you to not only shading and smoothing and blending, but I want to introduce you to the idea that your eraser can be a tool. So the next tip I want to give you guys is using your eraser to make highlights. So in my tear duct, I'm going to make little circles with my eraser to give it that kind of highlight there. So again, what I did was I kind of shaded first with my pencil. I smoothed it out with my blending stump, and then you can use your eraser to kind of make little circles and highlights in there. Same thing if you got too much shading going on in your skin. Don't just go back and forth with your eraser. Actually go in the direction that your skin might go in and make curving, sweeping, gentle lines. So you can really have fun with your highlighter. Oh, I mean your eraser as a highlighter. Another cool trick that you can do is you can use scrap paper. And I'll show you on the side. I have a piece of scrap paper here. You can take your pencil, get some graphite, get some pencil graphite on there, almost like a palette. And then you can dip your blending stump or your tissue or your paper towel in there and get some graphite on there. And you can actually draw with that, which is pretty cool. So that's another little trick you can do. So really start to use all of your different pencils and tools. Now, when we were talking about your eyelashes, we were talking about how they kind of go straight up and then they lean over. We're going to do the same thing when we start to shade your eyebrows. And for our eyebrows, we're going to do 2 layers. Number 1, we're going to just add some light shading inside. And then number 2, we are going to actually add the hairs. So I'm going to start on the side where my tear duct is. And for me, it's on the left, and I'm going to gently shade my eyebrow. Even if you have really dark eyebrows, go kind of light at first. And at first, I'm going up and down. So I'm going kind of fast with my wrist, shading up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then as I go across the paper, especially when I get to about the center point of where my pupil is, that circle, I'm going to start to lean my shading. So maybe you move your hand. Try not to smudge your drawing too much. And slowly your eyebrows are going to go from going straight up to kind of leaning to the side, to the side, to the side, to the side. So again, I'm just kind of shading in that outline, that eyebrow outline we did the other day, but I'm still being aware of the direction of my pencil lines. So I'm just shading it in, and then I use my tortillon stump or my paper towel, and I'm going to smooth it out, but I'm still going in the same direction as the hair growth. So up and down, up and down, up and down, and turn to the side. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to, but that's how we shade our eyebrow. That's step 1 of 2. Now, step 2 is to actually make the eyebrow hairs. So if you want to darken this a little bit because you have darker eyebrows, you can go ahead and do a second layer. But whenever you're ready, on top, we're going to kind of flick, press hard with our pencil, and flick up, flick up. So you start at the bottom of your eyebrow, and you flick up. And your hairs can actually go past some of the shading that you did, and you can start to draw some individual hairs. So I'm starting at the bottom of my eyebrow and flicking upward. If your pencil is not dark enough, I do have another option for you on the materials table. Just please put it back. That's the ebony pencil. So you can use that and you can flick up. And as you get over the pupil, the center of your eye, your eyebrow hairs are going to start to fall. So my eyebrow goes to the right. So my tear duct is on the left and I'm heading to the right. So now I'm going to flick and slowly, instead of going straight up, I'm going towards the right now. So flick at the bottom. And many of us have less hair towards the outer edge of our eye in our eyebrows. So look closely at your eyebrows. Again, some eyebrow hairs are going to cross. Maybe go off the page like I did. And just kind of play with your eyebrows. Well, not actually your eyebrows, your drawing part. Now, if you feel like this is too intense of a line here, I will often go back and do 2 things. Number 1, I might kind of smooth and blend where my eyebrow hairs begin so it doesn't look so intense. And sometimes I even go back with my eraser and I'll flick a couple little hairs in with my eraser to give some highlights and some variation. So that's another little trick you can do. And again, if it gets too intense with the eraser, just use your paper towel and you can smooth it out a little bit. That's really all I have for you. Check out the inner parts of your eyebrow. Maybe you have a couple shorter hairs. Maybe you need to go off the page. Go back, really look in the mirror. Use your shading, use your blending. And so important, you cannot lose these drawings. So at the end of the period, make sure they go in the flat storage area. You can give them to your portfolio collector, but please, please, please hold on to these. They are being graded and do not lose them. Thank you so much. I know these are coming out awesome. I cannot wait to see them. Great work, everybody. I love what you've done.